legal notice been posted and the court is duly called. Can I get a motion to open the court?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of voting.
Aye.
Those who oppose, there's in the affirmative. Bailey will open the court.
All rise. Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the January 2013 term with the Honorable Judge Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Judge Jenkins in absentia, let the record reflect that the presiding member is presiding. And that being said, the invocator is a guest of the judge today, and of course, it's been noted that Mr. Heichel will be the substitute invocator today. So, Martin Heichel, Assistant Court Administrator, come forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. Indeed, it's a privilege for me to stand here and be able to ask Almighty God to bless this Commissioner's Court. So let us pray. Great God of heaven, we come before you this morning, O God, to give you the thanks for your many blessings in our lives. We are reminded by the prophet of old, Jeremiah, who tells us that fresh and new, each and every morning your mercies are renewed. That we are here today, God, is a testimony of your grace and your mercies. Yesterday, our nation celebrated the inauguration of a new term for the person that you have ordained to lead this great nation of ours. A nation birthed in strife, but sustained by your grace. Lord, these are challenging times in which we live, for we see all around us people who are struggling, homes that are being destroyed, families that are barely surviving. But as our president reminded us yesterday, we are made for this moment, and we will seize it so long as we seize it together. God, you commanded us to pray for those who have ruled over us, for you tell us that no power can exist unless you ordain that power. And so today we come together as these commissioners, the elect of the people, but the ordained by your providential arm, go about performing the people's business. I pray your guidance upon them in a gentle reminder from you that the decisions that they make here today have ramifications in the lives of men and women all over this great county of ours. While I know the decisions that these commissioners are asked to make are never easy because the constituents they serve vary and their concerns numerous, sometimes even conflicting. Accordingly, I ask you to touch their minds, their thoughts, and their hearts, so the decisions that they make will be first and foremost pleasing to you, and then advance the people's business. I humbly make this petition before you, Almighty God. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome to this. Welcome to this meeting of the Dallas County Commissioners Court. We have a formal agenda that is posted. We will then go into a briefing session for matters to consider in the future, of which we will retire to an executive session to deal with those matters that are permitted by law. That being said, there are no speakers that are on for this week, and therefore there are no resolutions. Item 7. Number 8 is the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Is there any readiness? All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of voting.
Aye.
Those who oppose, same sign. Chairs in the affirmative. There's 9 is going to be considered or called a closed session. So I'll take and so is orders 10 through 22. So,
Move approve, second, with abstaining on number 12 and 9.
okay. There's an abstention on 12 with regards to Commissioner Garcia. I got a motion and a second on all the other court orders, 10 through 22. Is there any other unreadiness? Hearing none, All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of voting.
Aye.
Those who oppose, same sign. Chair's in the affirmative. Nothing else, then we will recess for the briefing session with regards to matters that are posted for this court to consider. Mr. Martin.
Well, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, item number one will be our flu update from Director Thompson.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Just want to give a quick update to Commissioner's Court on last week. We had a discussion regarding need for additional flu vaccine in Dallas County. As the court is aware, we did receive 2,000 doses. I want to thank the Texas Department of State Health Services that was facilitated through the judge as well as the Commissioner's Court that we were able to receive 2,000 doses of the flu vaccine. 1,000 doses of the flu vaccine was targeted for vaccine for children recipients. The 7,000 was for those with insurance. We were able to distribute that 1,000 doses. 600 of it went to Children's Medical Center, 100 doses went to AIDS Arms, and the remaining 300 doses stayed at Dallas County Health and Human Services. We feel that the flu season is still upon us. We don't consider this to be the peak period at this moment. We realize there are two indicators. One, kids are going back to school, as well as we have college students who are returning back to the universities. And so right now, we're going to continue to push Dallas County residents getting the flu shots. And so Dallas County Health and Human Services still has enough flu vaccine available. If we start to run low, I will make a report to the Commissioner's Court, but at this point, we're not ready to say that the flu season is over. At this point, if you look historically at the epi data in previous years, our peak period is the end of January into February. And so right now, it's normally when we start to see our peak in previous years. We realize that we had an earlier flu season, and so we don't want to really declare a victory just yet in terms of not promoting getting flu shots. So we're still pushing that forward. We did have a line outside our building when we opened up this morning. We saw Children's Medical Center provide free flu shots on yesterday in the Garland area. So you see providers are still pushing the importance of getting flu shots.
Well, with regard, Mr. Thompson, with regards to our parties, first of all, I had an opportunity on last Thursday after the PHAC committee, Public Health Drivers Committee meeting to go in and to thank the staff. What kind of numbers are you continuing to see?
Yeah, we're averaging at least 300 to 400 still per day. I believe one of the ISDs is not in school. School is out today, so that's going to increase our
service training for Dallas.
So that's going to increase our numbers. So what happens is when we see early release days, parents are bringing their kids over to our facilities once they pick up their kids. So we're still averaging close to 300 to 400 kids per day getting their flu shots, which is a good number, which indicates that that's a lot of students out there who did not receive the flu vaccine. We still only have 2 pediatric deaths in Dallas County, and our hospitalization rates, we're seeing them kind of tick up in terms of new hospitalizations. So right now we're still seeing flu cases in Dallas County.
In terms of monitoring in the jail, I saw that we had generated the piece with regards to our sheriff's population, our detention population, and we refer them to the employee health clinic. Are we able to service them?
Right. Yeah, we're asking Dallas County Sheriff staff to go to the Employee Health Center. What we'll do is provide flu vaccine to the Employee Health Center as needed. So what we need to find out from the Sheriff Department is how many staff will be going there, and we'll make sure that there's flu vaccine available. But we do have enough flu vaccine to provide that. I will remind you, we did have a flu clinic in the previous.
Chief, I see Chief Sewell is coming in, and so we will expect them to provide those numbers in regards to the sheriff as well, in regards to those numbers. And I saw the email. I'm sure the sheriff received the email as well. But we want to make sure. I think the population in the jail, and I'll ask the sheriff. Sheriff, you want to come forward?
Yes, sir. I just wanted
That's okay. That's all right. Thank you. With regards to the flu, in terms of the population,
Yes,
in the jail?
Yes, sir.
And are your?
Can't remember how many we had. It was a small number that we
Yeah,
had.
15.
That was, I was thinking 13, 15, that we had, already had the flu. But we're so crowded and we're so closed in that we wanted to make sure that it didn't spread. So anybody coming in now immediately gets a temperature shot to make sure they don't have the flu. And if they have the flu, they're immediately separated from the rest of the crowd so that they cannot contaminate the other people. So we are trying to put a control on it by separating all those folks, and then the folks that are coming in, making sure that they do not commingle with the other folks.
And you're staging that in your Sally Port area?
Yes, sir. We have, well, if it's too cold, they actually go up to the first floor. But most of the time, they're right before you can even enter the building. We'll go ahead and take the temperature and see how.
Mr. Thompson just said, and I know you saw the email, that he's referring all of your detention officers and sheriff personnel to the employee health clinic.
Yes, so we're working with them to make it available for them to come on to the shift so that most of our officers cannot leave the building. None of our detention officers can leave the building. So therefore, we're making arrangements with Mr. Johnson and with the health department to bring the flu shots into the building and getting our officers right before they go on duty.
We'll get rid of it.
Okay, okay.
Thank you for your vigilance.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Thank you,
And
sir.
great job, Mr. Thompson. Look good on camera too, and almost on the TV station.
Well, as much as anything, those nurses are being worked up for us.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring them back to a resolution on your, recognize all of what they did done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item 1, Institute of Forensic Sciences. Recommend approval of the ILA for the City of Fort Worth for the provision of forensic laboratory services. 2, Operations. Recommend approval of the agreement with Department of Health and Hospital Systems to provide vehicle repair
I
service.
want to thank you, first of all, let me thank the District Attorney's Office and SWIFT for this. This is long overdue. Does not have the impact on our jail facility, but it does have an impact on their operations in terms of those cases, that have been out there for quite some time, the bond cases. So that's what this is all about. I don't want to get convoluted. Okay, thank you.
Item 3, District Clerk recommends approval of expenditure of records management funds for the purchase of a subscription for Highland on-base training. Item 4,
No, you need to do number 2.
Item 2, Operations recommends approval of the agreement with Department of Health and Hospital Systems to provide vehicle repair services to Dallas County ASC.
And Mr. Martin, just for clarification, when I read the item, we're starting at $49.10, which is the same thing,
Right.
same amount.
Right,
Correct?
right, right. Per hour of labor. Item 3, District Clerk again recommends approval of expenditure of records management funds for the purchase of subscription for Highland on-base training. Item 4, Treasurer recommends approval of the utilization of the point of sale transaction processing as provided in the merchant service agreement with J.P. Morgan Chase. Item 5, Sheriff, that quarter is on your formal agenda. Item 6, Purchasing recommends approval of the proposed changes to the policy on pickup purchase orders adding the construction group under the public service program.
And that is, Commissioner, and I apologize, I was out of time. That's pretty much, the change is for them to be able to buy materials in emergency cases and
Correct.
pick up these materials.
Correct.
$500, and then, juvenile department can do it on that part.
Well,
Commissioner, what happened was is when we transferred the operations and the duties of the construction department, the construction group from facilities management to Road and Bridge District 3, that group had always used the data purchase order process. There just needed to be some clarification that now that was operating under Road and Bridge District 3. So we just tried to make it very clear in here that that group, the construction group, has the ability to use those types of purchase orders for, as you mentioned, under $500, small items for certain situations.
And how often does this happen?
Sure, it is a part of, I would say, I wouldn't say daily, but I would say we probably, I would probably say I signed for this particular group, for across the groups, is your facilities management. Facilities management definitely daily. Automotive Service Center also has the ability to do it. They probably use it once or twice a month. The road and bridges do it maybe a couple of times a month. Construction probably uses it a couple of times a week.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Martin.
and then that depends on the projects,
Right.
you know, what projects are being.
Commissioner, what I will do is I'll provide you, we keep a track of the dollar, we log them. I'll provide you a list of the value that's done by each group before we have it on over next week.
That'd be great. And also, I guess this will come out as, part of the miscellaneous ones. It's free, right?
Yes, ma'am, a lot of times there'll be something that's miscellaneous briefed for a small project, and that funding source will be used to fund the items purchased by the construction for the project.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Thank you.
Item 7, IT, recommend approval of proposed budget and professional service agreement for the e-business suite upgrade from Oracle 11.9 to 12.1. We're on a tight timeline on that. We'll have this quarter or next week so we can get this project moving. I know we're behind the 8 ball on this one actually, so I know Virginia Board is pushing. We'll get this thing on next week and get the project moving. Item 8, Human Resources Civil Service, recommend approval of amendment number 2 to the United Healthcare Insurance Company agreement updating the stop loss policy. Item 9, Governmental Affairs, recommend amendment to county policy approving hotel room reimbursement at actual cost for approved legislative travel in Austin during the legislative session. Item 10, Planning and Development, recommend approval of funding proposed improvements to Fountain Plaza. Will allow us just a quick moment to have Mr. Losberg come up and update you on that item.
By all means.
Yes, Mr. Velasquez, thank you.
We came to the court in the fall to have a work order done, to engage consultants to begin to develop some design concepts for improvements to the plaza. Funds for this purpose were originally budgeted in the 2012 capital improvement fund. Consultants, I think, have done a really nice job. They've been very creative. There's some engineering limitations associated with the plaza because of the foundation, because it's on top of a parking garage, because you have a fountain. Yet they managed to come up with what I think is a very realistic, efficient way, effective way of breaking up the broad expanse of concrete, softening up the area, making it more visually pleasing, and have it be a place where I think people will stop by and gather and rest, as it was originally envisioned when the plaza was redone about 10 years ago. We will require some additional funding for this. There's some options that the court has at its disposal if it wishes to modify some of the components. We presented the concept in such a way so that you could do that without damaging the overall intent or effort behind it. Obviously, we're very well aware of the significance of November 2013. It will require an aggressive schedule from all parts considered, but we've been told that should things work properly, that we should be able to do that. The work that will be done is not going to require that the whole plaza be pulled up, so it will not be a mud pit for 4 months or anything like that, even if we experience inclement weather. We think it'll be a dramatic improvement over what's presently there. It'll be a good portrayal to the public of what's happening.
And it will be done by November 2000.
That's what we're shooting for there. And there are no guarantees in life, but as of right now, we would not be coming forward if we didn't think we could reasonably do this.
And when we plan on let it go, and we've augmented this some, we were going to use some county forces with regards to it. They have now reviewed that, and there are a lot of they just need to fold everything into the contract and make sure the contractor stays on.
And a lot of that's for the time-sensitive nature of the project. We're hoping to have construction documents within 2 months. We discussed trying to use alternative procurement processes so that we'll be able to be ready to go and we'll have somebody on board who knows how to do this thing in a short time.
It's going to be a very important, moment in the history of Dallas and Dallas County. So we need to be sure that the construction company knows how important it is to be finished, right. And of course, Mr. Losberg, I understand the plans and everything is going to be utilize is aid plants, stereoscopic, water conservation, everything that is.
And that's the nice thing about, again, this design, is that just from whatever way you wish to view this, from an aesthetic point of view, it's going to be a significant improvement. From an operational perspective, as you said, Commissioner, the plants will have low maintenance requirements, low watering requirements. They're types of plants that are now used for LEED certified projects. So we're very pleased with what the architects have come up with. They deserve a great deal of credit.
Well, and I want to be real clear, we did not appropriate the dollars that we are now seeing in regards to this budget. But I do want to remind, well, members of the court, as there was only two of us here then, 10 years ago, we significantly cut back on that project.
We did.
And so it's appropriate now that, that we come forward. That's probably the only reason I wrote this report, because we did cut back significantly 2 years ago on this project.
I guess it's time to make it.
Well,
very
it's
nice.
time to make it up, but one of the things going to really be with regards to this plaza, even after we finish, going to be that monitoring.
Yes.
If you come into this, if you come downtown after 5 o'clock, the dynamics downtown change significantly. The parks change in terms of their utilization of benches, the whole line with the yard. So we're also going to have to.
And that's one of the things we discussed, Mr. Rosberg and I, about, graffiti resistant, and some of the benches can be removed and all the receptacles. I know that in the city of Dallas, we have some materials that are utilized specifically for areas where we expect a lot of different dynamics, like
Yes.
Commissioner Hall.
More intense uses.
Intense uses and intense cleaning as well.
Not designed.
Not
I said
the
intense.
Intense cleaning. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Rosberg. We look forward to see you. Hopefully you can keep us posted. We're probably going to be able to see it from here.
We will keep you posted.
Thank you very much.
Item 11, Public Works, 11A, recommend approval of the project-specific agreement with the City of Dallas for the implementation of the Bonnie View Road FCIP. Item 11B, that quarter was on the formal agenda. Item 12, Homeland Security and Emergency Management, recommend approval of the Cooper Notification Service Agreement. Item 13, Budget. 13A, Recounty Travel Training Request. 13B, recommend approval of the reclassification of the Assistant Fire Marshal to the position of Deputy Fire Inspector. Approve the DDA initiative amount, refer to Human Resource Civil Service for proper classification. Item 13C, request authorization to submit an application to the Texas A&M Forest Service Texas Interstate Fire Mutual Aid System Grant Assistance Program to be used for training and tuition. Item 13D, recommends holding 3 tax office positions vacant for 6 months and approval of the one-time EDA credit. Item 13E, recommends a double fill of the grade K Chief Deputy position for 34 days in the Treasurer's Office effective February 25th, 2013. And item 13F recommends the creation of a part-time case manager position under the Divert Court, funded out of the Divert Court escrow funds, and refer to HR Civil Service for proper classification of that position. And Commissioner, that concludes your business agenda. You have no speakers listed today.
I just want to make a comment, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Mr. Brown and Mr. Thompson, Mr. Markley for enhancing security measures. That we have discussed in the past, and Oak Creek Branch Immunization Building. I think that was entirely needed, and I want to thank you for moving this forward.
I hope you'll hold. We've been out there several times, and we're not only the victim of those targets. The WIC Center and the back end have been the victim as well. So that building is isolated, and it's a target.
It is, and Saturday we say started, but it's also one of the most utilized, so it's still to be called, and I really want to thank staff for putting up.
And let me just thank Mr. Martin and the facilities that all were responding to the Big George Allen incident. We seem to have an affinity in Dallas County with water. I don't know what somebody was trying to tell us.
Well, we're trying to conserve it.
Yeah,
It's almost been.
yeah, I wasn't going to go back.
The situation is well under control.
It's under control. And we appreciate appreciate the rapid response that staff did with regards to making sure. And he did that without having to shut down the courthouse. So, okay, there's nothing else. We convene in public session and recess for executive session in